Good morning. Happy Easter. Welcome to Unity in Lynnwood and this time of silent meditation. I invite you to take some deep breaths in and out. In and out. Hearts open, minds open. I renew myself in the serenity of silence. Let us be fully present in this silence. And now we enter into this time of silent meditation. And gently, gently bring yourself back to this space, remembering who you are, knowing this peace, renewing yourself in the serenity of silence. We give thanks to this community, Reverend Richard, Matthew, Reverend Nina, Cameron, Stacy, those sitting in this room and those online. Deepest gratitude for showing up and sharing your light.
through the doors I sensed a presence, and I knew this was a place where love abounds. For this is a temple, the God we love abides here. Oh, we are standing in this presence on holy ground. We are standing on holy ground, and I know there are angels all around. Let us praise God now, praise God anyhow, for we are standing in this presence on holy ground.
Will you join me in a time of reflection? With your eyes closed, let's take a breath together right now. And in that breath, we acknowledge the breath of life that is breathing us all of the time. While awake and while asleep, this breath of life is filling us. It's renewing, sustaining us. This breath of life is invigorating and healing us. Let's take another deep breath together. Right now, we are actively participating with this life-giving energy that is available to us in every moment. We are one with life. We are one with love. We are one with each other. Today, we breathe more deeply into this life. And with this breath, we stand on holy ground and awaken to new possibilities. And so it is.
In this presence, I know there is joy beyond all measure, and at God's feet, sweet peace of mind can still be found. For when we have a need,
Happy Easter. It's great to see all of your faces.
Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at a fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself. Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. You are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. You are the place where God shows up. We are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God.
All right. Yeah, happy Easter.
Good morning and welcome to Unity in Lynnwood. We are so very glad that you are joining us here today on this Easter Sunday, whether you're here physically in our sanctuary, and it's so great to see you here, by the way, or you're joining us online wherever you may be in the world. Today, we recognize once again that we are active participants in a grander human story of overcoming. We see, as Dr. Richard has been reminding us, that any tension experienced in our lives has embedded within it a sacred opportunity for growth, an opportunity for each of us to emerge into something new. As we leave to yesterday that which no longer serves our greater purpose today. At Unity in Lynnwood, we see you as an emergent being, each with your own unique visions for your life, for your relationships, and everything you want to experience and contribute to this world during your lifetime. Every one of you has personal dreams inside of you, just waiting for you to step into them. We are here to join the voice of your inner being calling you forward to do just that today. Step on out. Do that which is yours to do. Become who you were meant to be. Today on this Easter weekend, we recognize that there are most certainly obstacles for all of us during this lifetime. Barriers, large and small, that appear to block our way, to keep us feeling stuck and in the dark. However, today reminds us that a change in consciousness, a shift in perspective, an intentional alignment with the bolder truth of your inner being can serve as a powerful means to get unstuck, to roll away any stone, to invite us into the light of a new day. Today, on this Easter Sunday, we join with the creator of life that dreamed you into existence and love you as you are. We join with the creator of life and see you as a wondrous, amazing, complex, mysterious, and powerful being. We count it as an honor to be in your presence. We celebrate the gifts you bring to our community. We are grateful for the warm and supportive connections that we share together. At Unity in Lynnwood, we not only say, welcome, come on in, make yourself at home, we also say, welcome, come on out, step boldly into the light that you are. Happy Easter.
Right on. Whoa. Ken Urey always takes me to church. If you walked in this morning and thought, oh, I can just feel the presence of love in this space, it's because indeed it has been here. You follow a robust 9 o'clock gathering. If you would like to leave love in the wake of your presence here today, you know there are few brands of spiritual love that equal the willingness to see another person and to extend welcome. Will you allow your eyes to cast upon somebody and just say, welcome this morning? And then allow your eyes to cast upon someone else and say, welcome this morning. I see you. I see you. I see you. Oh, practical spirituality, welcoming community, that mission statement. So short on word, but deep in content. And so it is that every week I like to offer one of the supporting statements which we developed in conversation as community with your board of trustees beginning in late 2014. Today I offer the second of 6 statements, and it reads as follows: we seek to discover and share spiritual practices which are repeatable and reliable, and to infuse these spiritual practices into every area of our daily living. There's the practical part for you. There's the practical part for you. If you would like to pray with someone following the conclusion of our time together this morning, if you are a member of our physical sanctuary, please seek one of the trained prayer chaplains who will now indicate their availability to you by enthusiastically waving their hands in the air. If you're a member of our virtual sanctuary this morning and you would like to pray with someone following the conclusion of our time together, start the process by writing prayer at unityinlynnwood.org. Include a working telephone number, preferably your own, and expect a call from an anonymous number. Words of invocation. You're welcome to allow my voice to substitute for yours. You're welcome to read with me enthusiastically or quietly. You're welcome to close your eyes and allow it to wash through you. The choice is yours. Our invocation this morning reads thusly: though imaged and named variously, there is a singular and eternal ground of being from which all life emanates and into which all life retreats. We choose to call this ground of being God. By extension, we come to understand that we are spiritual in nature, human in expression, and limitless in potential. Let's pause on that one. We gather today to remember such truths, to celebrate our unity, and to honor all life. And so it is. begin every Easter the same way. Take a deep breath with me. It was about 1,000 years after what today's Christians call that first Easter that the idea of substitutionary sacrifice, the idea that Jesus died for human error, took form in a writing. It was issued by the Archbishop of Canterbury. The earliest followers of the way, you understand that the term Christianity does not appear in your Judeo-Christian Bible. The earliest followers of the way would not have related to such an idea at all. Even the statement that Jesus gave his life a ransom for many is best understood to say that his vision of a kingdom marked by equality, inclusion, peace, plenty, justice, not just for the few, but for everybody, quite simply, was not for sale at any price. So maybe this alone is the gift that someone showed up or tuned in to get today. If you join us with decades of guilt because Jesus died for something you did wrong, allow this to be the very moment in which that psychic burden is cast to the cleansing winds of new understanding. Dear friends, happy Easter. Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Now, if you're still here, and most of you are, we've explored over the past week. Christianity's Holy Week started with two processions. These two processions entered Jerusalem on a spring Sunday in the year 30 or so. It was a collision between a royal procession led by Pilate. It was rooted in imperial supremacy, bloody violence, and a peasant procession led by Jesus. It was rooted in universal equality, unconditional love. These two inaugurated Christianity's first Holy Week. It was the epic climax to over 1,000 years of escalating tension. In other words, Christianity's Holy Week started with tension. It started with something of an old way of being colliding with something of a new way of being, we might say. Now, on Monday, Jesus is recorded to have cursed the fig tree, drove the buyers and the sellers from the temple, overturned the tables of the money changers while saying, "Is it not written, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations?" He was emphatic, we might say, impassioned, irritated. I think that's reasonable. We might say that Christianity's Holy Week started with tension, but continued with decision. Holy Week continued with that moment in which the old way of being was quite simply no longer acceptable to Jesus. Now, on Tuesday, according to one of our accounts, Jesus participated in an ongoing game, if you will, of trap, escape, counterattack with some authorities. The question rose, should we pay taxes to Caesar? Well, Jesus' yes would have alienated his followers. His no would have legitimized his persecutors. You see, that's the trap. That's the trap. And so he responded. He said, well, tell you what. Give Caesar that which is Caesar's, and give God that which is God's. And that's the escape, you understand, because it was well understood by Jesus and by his followers that everything belonged to God. So should we pay taxes to Caesar? Well, he cleverly answered, give Caesar everything Caesar deserves. It's long been a wonder of mine that Jesus has never been depicted winking. Because I imagine that to be the energy with which he said, you know what? Give Caesar everything he's got coming. So you see, that's the counter attack. So from the tension of Sunday and the decision of Monday, our epic presents us with a Tuesday that is marked with resistance. And can't we always count on the old way to rise in resistance to the new way? Whether within individual minds or entire societies. On Wednesday then, it was an unnamed woman who poured expensive ointment over his head. This was a burial ritual. You understand, an unnamed woman poured expensive ointment over his head and received a stunning accolade when he responded by saying, wherever the good news is proclaimed in all the world, this will be told in remembrance of her. Of the many who had heard the prophecies of his death and his resurrection, you understand, she was the first one to believe him. This is not surprising. The women were present from the beginning of his ministry. The women were present from the beginning of his ministry, and I have to believe that even today we continue to heal from pretending that they weren't. So for the gospel, named Mark, she was the first believer. And for many who followed, she's considered to be the first Christian. So from Sunday's tension through Monday's decision, Tuesday's resistance, we find our Jesus narrative acknowledging the importance of finding another who would believe in his ministry. Finding another who would believe in his wisdom. Finding another who would believe in his vision. From tension through decision and resistance, our narrative acknowledges the importance of cultivating support. Now, Thursday was marked by what we would call the Last Supper, prayers in Gethsemane, Peter's 3 denials, the arrest, the interrogation, and the condemnation. And while Thursday could easily then have been themed as betrayal or as fear, disappointment, I chose to suggest that it's commitment that describes Jesus standing upon the threshold between what had been and what would be, and choosing to step forward across that point of no return nonetheless. By Thursday, he knew he would die, you understand. Arguably, he could have left the festival, could have lived to fight another day, he could have turned back. But Thursday would tell us he did not turn back. And so it was that on Friday, he was delivered to Pilate's soldiers. He was tortured, humiliated. He underwent something of a mock coronation in which he was cloaked in a purple robe, crowned, but with thorns. He was crucified. This was a form of public terrorism that was reserved for for those who denied imperial authority. And of course, he was buried. Now that brings us to Sunday's account. From Sunday's account, we read, when the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome brought spices that they might go and anoint him. And early on the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they went to the tomb, and when they looked up, they saw that the stone had already been rolled away. Personally, I don't understand why the stone hasn't assumed greater significance as a symbol of the Easter narrative, but I digress. Now, prior to what we call the Enlightenment, you've heard this before, it bears repeating. Prior to what we would call the Enlightenment, the truths of a tale were never perceived to be dependent upon its facts. And this is certainly true of the culture from which this narrative arose. The truths of a tale were not perceived to be dependent upon its facts. In other words, it would have been well understood, it would have been a given, if you will, in both Jewish and early Christian cultures, that 40 meant something well beyond 40. That regaining sight meant something well beyond regaining sight. Haircuts meant something beyond haircuts. That dragons and beasts and horsemen meant something well beyond dragons and beasts and horsemen. So while a modern loyalty to facts, such as they are nowadays, while a modern loyalty to facts might stomp its feet and demand, was there really a good Samaritan who rescued a man? And was there really a wayward son who returned to his father? Was there really a whale and a giant and an ark and a leper? Can women really turn into salt? An informed loyalty to truth stands in resolve and answers, you know what? It doesn't matter. It simply doesn't matter, because an informed loyalty to truth understands that the spiritual value of these stories is neither inflated nor deflated by their facts. I like to say that there are universal stories that are particularized by noble souls. There are universal stories that are particularized by noble souls, such as Dorothy from Oz, Frodo from the Shire, Rocky from Philadelphia, and yes, Jesus from Nazareth alike. And because the stories are universal, it doesn't matter whether the noble souls who particularize them are real or not. It doesn't matter, because there's something within us that recognizes and relates to truth, regardless of the factuality or non-factuality of the messenger. So, while Easter can be embraced, and my intention is not to remove this, while Easter can be embraced as a story about Jesus, or about a singular event in time and space that can be celebrated by some people, I would ask us to consider Easter as one such universal story about humanity, or about an ongoing process across time and space that can be celebrated by all of us. I would suggest Easter as one such universal story that tells each of us that as evolving, unfolding souls, we will ultimately stumble upon points of tension in our lives. We will reach the very edges of the only lives we've known, only to draw lines in the sands of consciousness, as if to say, I may not know which direction is next, but I know it won't be this direction any longer. It's the story common to every addict who's hit bottom, every abusee who has had enough, every visionary who's discovered an idea, an old way will collide with a new way. You see, I would suggest Easter as one such universal story that tells each of us that as evolving, unfolding souls, we will ultimately have to upset the tables of the money changers, of the way things have been for far too long. We will ultimately have to challenge the stale status quo, whether within or without, that stale status quo that thrives on the known and the knowable, that stale status quo that would leave us suspended in that abyss between enough pain to leave and enough passion to grow. One need not look too far to see this dynamic at work in today's world. And I have to wonder if that's one call of the Easter narrative, that humans would rise beyond motivations of pain and greed to embrace the higher motivations of harmony and love. I would suggest Easter as one such universal story that tells each of us that as evolving, unfolding souls, we will do well to seek some peace and to garner some encouragement from the company of those who love us, from the company of those who support us, to garner the support of those who believe in us. Dorothy needed the lion, you understand. Frodo needed a Sam. Jesus needed that woman. We will ultimately have to cultivate the support of souls willing to share the weight of whatever it is that's rising within us. Have you surrounded yourself with those who love you? Have you surrounded yourself with those who support you, who believe in you? I do hope you have. You might glance around this very room if you are wanting to find somebody who will do that for you. You might be surrounded in remarkable support in this very moment. I would suggest Easter as one such universal story that tells each of us that as evolving, unfolding souls, we will ultimately have to stand upon that threshold between what has been and what will be, recognizing that the choice is no longer both and, but either or. We will ultimately have to stand upon that threshold between what has been and what will be and decide whether we will retreat to the comforts of the remembered past or step into the unknowables of the imagined future. We will ultimately have to make a commitment. You understand? This is true in consciousness, meaning it's true within you. This is true in relationships, and this is true in communities such as this one. We will ultimately have to stand upon the threshold between what has been and what will be and decide whether we will retreat to the comforts of the remembered past or step into the unknowables of an imagined future. I have to tell you, I know what my decision is already. And in the end, I would suggest Easter as one such universal story that tells each of us that as evolving, unfolding souls, we will ultimately have to release that which has been for that which will be. We will ultimately have to, in the way set forth by Jesus of Nazareth, we will have to die to the old that we might be born to the new. Jesus approached this final dynamic, if you will, embracing even that darkest of human fears. He stepped even beyond human life, that he might be able to whisper to each one of us something along the lines of, you know what, every beginning requires something of an ending. Don't be afraid. Every dawn requires something of a dusk. Don't be afraid. Every spring requires something of a winter. Don't be afraid. Yeah, I think he said every resurrection requires something of a crucifixion, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. So yes, today tells us the story of Jesus. But I don't think Jesus walked his walk to show us what was possible for him. I don't think any truly enlightened being is about his or her own specialness. I think Jesus walked his walk to show us what's possible for us. So while it is Jesus' story, it seems to me that it's a universal story of what it means to change, what it means to grow, to die to the old, and to be born into the new. I think it's yet another particularization of that hero's journey, of that universal trek through tension and decision, resistance and support, commitment and sacrifice, into that symbolic Saturday, that cosmic breath, that vulnerable void after the dying of what was, but before the birth of what will be. It's yet another particularization of that universal trek that carries its promise to the souls of all sojourners. Don't be afraid, you. That's what it says. Don't be afraid, you. Sunday's coming. Don't be afraid, you. Sunday's coming. The palms of victory have been placed upon your path. Don't be afraid. New life is assured. Let's take a deep breath together. If you're comfortable doing so, let's consider closing the outer eyes. I've asked Reverend Nina Clark to deepen our consideration of this universal tale through a time of meditation, a time of visualization. It will last 5-6 minutes. And we take another breath.
And if you'll take another breath with me, and if your eyes are not already closed, allow them to gently close. And allow your body to settle into the chair wherever you're sitting. In our journey through Holy Week, we were asked to bring awareness to old ways that stop us from living as boldly and bravely as we intended when we chose to clothe ourselves in physical bodies. We were asked to take a long, hard, honest look at ourselves, to strip naked in front of the mirror and risk being authentic and vulnerable. Are we blaming, or are we taking responsibility? Are we standing in judgment, or are we rising above our fear? Are we blindly meeting only our own needs, or are we taking care of each other? Are we clinging to the past or reaching for a brighter future together? What old ways have you discovered that are no longer acceptable to you? And have you decided to be done with them?
I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil.
And with that decision, did you encounter the resistance within and from without? The world will give us the opportunity to see what we are made of, to see what lurks beneath the surface. It gives us the opportunity to stop and see with new eyes. And to stay fast to that decision, did you seek out support, both in others and in your own spiritual practices?
I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil.
Holy Week called us to let go of old ways of being, to no longer cling to what once gave us comfort, and to embrace a higher vibration of love and harmony, compassion and wisdom. When we commit in this way, we arrive in a place of vulnerable openness where we can be born anew. Like the caterpillar who spins its chrysalis in faith, having no idea of the stunning butterfly it's to become, we become open to the idea that there is more to the story, even if we have no idea what it is. No crucifixion means no resurrection. Thich Nhat Hanh tells us that most people are afraid of suffering, but suffering is a kind of mud to help the lotus flower of happiness grow. There can be no lotus flower without the mud.
I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil.
Today is Easter. Today is a holy, symbolic time of rebirth. Today holds the opportunity to be born into something new, something higher, into a fuller expression of our God selves. Today we have the opportunity to open ourselves in faith to that which we are giving birth to, or to what is being birthed in us. Be not afraid. We need not fear dying to the old, for a glorious rebirth awaits us on the other side of what we confront and release. But we may need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable to get there. Be not afraid. Let us press into the energies of Easter, of spring after the dark days of winter, of rebirth after a time in the dark womb, of light after a time in the darkness.
I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil.
Raising the veil means releasing our attachment to that which lies between us and a fuller experience, a deeper knowing of our oneness with God. We can see with new eyes. Let us see with new eyes. Wake up. Let us rise up into a new way of being. In this blessed eternal now moment, breathe in the truth of your being with an earnestness and passion, an open vulnerability and expectation with which you have never done so before. Know yourself as the I am, a perfect idea in the mind of God. Allow the wisdom and unconditional love that is part and parcel of your being to lift you up, bursting through the layers of the old and into the bright light of a new day, a fuller expression of the divine as you. Peace be with you. And so it is.
God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil.
Thank you, Reverend Nina. And thank you, Matthew and Dr. Richard. We want to let you know how grateful that we are for your generous gifts you provide to support this community. You can see that giving options appear on your screen. There they are. If you would like information about UIL's program of regular and recurring giving, please click or call. And for planned or legacy giving, please write Dr. Richard directly. And we would just want you to know that for every gift that you give, we see behind it to the generous giver that each of you are, the generous ways that you support and love this community. And it is for that, it is for you that we are most thankful.
Christ has no body now but yours, no hands, no feet on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes through which he looks, compassion on this world. Yours are the feet with which he walks to do good. Yours are the hands with which he blesses all the world. Yours are the hands, yours are the feet, yours are the eyes, you are his body. Christ has nobody now but yours. No hands, no feet on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes through which he looks, compassion on this world. Christ has nobody now on earth but
So beautiful. We have several announcements about things happening here in our Unity in Lynnwood community, but before I get to those, I just want to acknowledge anyone who might be here for the first time. If you are new or newer today, could you just give your hand in the air and we'll give you a little round of applause? Hello, nice to see you. We're so glad that you are here and joining us today. You and everyone can see in the chair back in front of you, we have some resources to support you. And the card that says Newcomers Information invites you into this idea at Unity in Lynnwood. Dear friends, ours is not a movement of conversion. Unity will not seek to convert you from any one thing to any other. We honor and seek to understand the truths and beauties inherent within all authentic spiritual traditions. And as such, we are home to not only Christians of virtually every denomination, but also to Jews and Buddhists and agnostics and metaphysicians and those of no religious history, discipline, or affiliation whatsoever. Welcome to Unity in Lynnwood. For our first-time guests, we'd like to invite you into our Soul Things gift shop. They're just outside the double doors and to the left, and provide you with this complimentary Daily Word, which is a monthly publication put out by Unity Worldwide that offers you daily inspirations. Some announcements. And for each of our events, please register for all events by visiting the calendar page at unityinlynnwood.org. Building consciousness, knowledge, and skills in any endeavor begins with learning the foundational principles. The Foundations of Unity class is designed to be the first course students take when embarking upon any of the Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute's learning paths. Students will explore foundational principles from Lessons in Truth, Discover the Power Within You, and other historical texts. They will also learn how to integrate the foundational principles into daily life, facilitated by licensed Unity teacher Karen Breen James. Thank you, Karen. And on Saturday, May 7th, join the women of Unity in Lynnwood for a visit to the Seattle Japanese Tea Garden, finishing with lunch at a nearby restaurant. They will leave Unity in Lynnwood at 9 a.m. and return around 3 p.m. Admission to the Tea Garden is $8 for adults, $4 for seniors. Shuttle transportation will be available on a first-come basis. And the Third Act Small Group invites you, if you are 60 or better, to bring your own bag lunch on Friday, April 29th at 1 p.m. in our Friendship Hall. This event is hosted by Erlene Bowen and Miriam Williams. They are looking forward to welcoming newcomers and reconnecting with those who have attended in the past. And join us next Sunday for the wisdom and insights of Reverend Dr. Jennifer Lovejoy. Jennifer, nice to see you. And the artistry and music of Levon Hardison. You won't want to miss that.
So I guess I can still do 2 services. That's the good news here. Had to prove it to myself. You know, this is the 10th in a series called Opening the Bible. Opening, of course, being a metaphor for something beyond opening a book, right? And I think there's a message in some of the great teaching tales of the Bible, and it is counter to the intuitive self. It says, take it personally. Take it personally. We are meant to find ourselves in these teaching stories. The Bible is really quite a horrible history book. It's a horrible history book, but it's a great soul guide. It's a great soul guide. Take it personally. I'm so happy to be with you today. Thank you for being here. Always, it is an honor to bask in the nobility of you. Would you thank your crew for making everything audible and visible today? I don't think the Eastern narrative promises a life free from inconvenience. I don't think the Eastern narrative promises a life devoid of loss or difficulty. I do believe, however, the Eastern narrative promises a richness of meaning, even in the difficult moments. If I were to spin this into an affirmation with which you would leave, I would say it's something along the lines of this: even in this, my God is enough. Whatever this is for you, doesn't matter. Even in this, my God is enough. Would you like to try it with me? Try it with me. Even in this, my God is enough. Close your eyes. Sit with that idea for a moment. Whatever your this is, Easter says, even in this, my God is enough. It is the promise of the Holy Week narrative. Even in this, my God is enough. We do not abandon this remembering as we step back into our earthly lives, but we carry it forth, allowing it to inform, allowing it to inspire, allowing it to guide. Even in this, my God is enough. And we close our time together, as we always do, with sung words of blessing, with sung words of farewell.
Friends, I will remember you, think of you, pray for you. When another day is through, I'll still be friends with you. Friends,